Hey peddlers, welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, we're going to be tackling the weight scam issue that has been going on in the cycling industry for far too long regarding the overall weight of a bike and the thousands of dollars that people are paying in the hopes that they're going to be shaving off, minutes off of their best times for certain climbs. So that's what I'm going to really talk about in this video specifically. Now, I've already made videos on my channel talking about why expensive road bikes are worthless, but I haven't actually gone into every segment in more detail. It really seems that people like these types of videos because a lot of average cyclists are on a budget, and I think it's really refreshing when you can hear someone that has ridden super expensive bikes to more budget bikes and say that, hey, you know what, you should really be focusing on your fitness rather than being so concerned about equipment, because I know when I was going through the ranks, I would have loved to hear that. Now, before we dive into this video, anyone that gets triggered easily, I would say click off this video right now, because when you learn the truth from personal experience and scientific data, you're going to be extremely triggered. So if you get triggered easily and don't want to feel bad that you spent thousands of dollars on a bike and it's really not making you faster. However, if you do have an open mind and you want to hear my rationale, first-hand experience, and the scientific data to back up this point that the weight of the bike is not that important at the end of the day, then stay tuned for that. And I want everyone to know that this video is geared towards the average cyclist with an average budget. If you're racing at a top tier level, being, provincial, state, or national, you most likely are sponsored or have a highly discounted bike to begin with. So this video doesn't really apply to you. And for anyone that doesn't really have a budget and money is no object and they want to spend it on a super expensive bike, then you do as you wish with your money. And with that being said, let's now get into this video. If you're wondering what type of bike I'm currently riding, it's a TCR Advance 2 2020 model, retailing for $2,000 USD. It has rim brakes, and if we're talking about weight, you want to know the weight of it, it's 8.4 kilograms, and I would say that has to be because of the heavy stock rims that come stock on this bike. Now, if I were to upgrade the rims or get a higher tier TCR in rim brakes, it would be pretty light. Now, the one thing I find so funny right now in the cycling industry, and I will be making more videos about this, is that you would be buying, let's look at this right now, the S-Works Tarmac SL7 retailing for $12,300 USD, and that bike with pedals and bottle cages is 7.4 kilograms, which is 16.3 pounds. So the fact that you can basically spend half of that, so even if we were to buy a $5,000 bike, the fact that a $5,000 rim brake bike is still lighter than the newest S-Works is just so funny. I would never personally spend more money on a heavier bike. I just don't understand the logic. So I will be making more videos on disc brakes versus rim brakes. Then taking a look at the Tarmac SL6 Sport, retailing for $2,800 USD with 105. The weight with pedals and bottle cages is 18.34 pounds, which is 8.16 kilograms. So you can see that the difference is around 3 to 5 pounds. Now, in terms of which bike would perform better, the S-Works Tarmac SL7 would perform better over the Tarmac SL6 Sport, and you're looking about 2 to 3 minutes in terms of an improvement when compared to the cheaper Tarmac SL6 Sport. And if we were to slap on some, deep dish rims in terms of aero rims on the Tarmac SL6 Sport, that difference in terms of performance, the Tarmac SL7 would only have a boost of 1 minute. Now listen up, because this is the part of the video that absolutely gets juicy, because this is where the truth will be exposed. Now, what I just talked about, there's countless of videos on YouTube that show that you'll save 2 to 3 minutes with the super bike when compared to its cheaper counterpart. I'm not here to show you guys that it's a revolution. The super bike is 2 to 3 minutes faster. I'm not here to show you that. What I'm here to show you is the absolute truth when it comes to performance. So one of my favorite climbs in pro cycling has to be Mont Ventoux. If you're not familiar with Mont Ventoux, it's often featured in the Tour de France. It's 21 kilometers long with a 1,500 give or take meter in terms of elevation, and it's a 7.4% gradient give or take through the whole climb. Now, the best time on Mont Ventoux is 55 minutes. You're gonna have to have some monster watts to push up Mont Ventoux. That's about 400 to 500 watts for almost an hour, which is absolutely insane. Now we're gonna be using this climb and changing the variables, and I found this really cool website called Bike Calculator where you can change the variables, and I think it really shows what I'm trying to say. So the first test I did was we took a 96 kilogram rider, that's 211 pounds, riding a super bike. So even though the Tarmac SL7 is not the lightest, it's 7.4 kilograms, and and that's a super bike with disc brakes. Let's say we get a 6.8 kilogram with rim brakes as our super bike. I use 300 watts as the average for all these tests, and it would take you 101 minutes or 1 hour and 41 minutes being 211 pounds riding the super bike. That's how long it would take you to ascend up to Mont Ventoux. Now, if we took the same rider at 96 kilograms, 211 pounds, and put them on a cheaper bike or heavier bike at 8.4 kilograms, which is 15 pounds for the bike, same watts, 300 watts, it would take them 103 minutes or an hour and 43 minutes. So there's a difference of 2 minutes between the performances. Same rider, same weight, one's on a super bike, and we already knew this because like I said, we already talked about this. You're roughly gonna be seeing 2 to 3 minutes, and it's absolutely bonkers. A $12,000 bike versus a $2,000 bike, for each minute of improvement, you're basically spending $5,000. Because if you're getting an increase of 2 minutes, then each minute is $5,000, because that's what separates a 12K bike from a 2K bike, which I just think is crazy. Now, this is the information that usually gets swept under the rug by the cycling industry, which I just find is so sad. And I only really had my eyes open when I rode with tour riders, professional cyclists. Then I really had my eyes opened. So let's say the rider trains, gets super fit, super lean, and they're 69 kilograms now, so 152 pounds, and they're riding the super bike at 6.8 kilograms, and the bike is 15 pounds, 300 watts. How long would it take them to ascend Mont Ventoux? It would take them 78 minutes or an hour and 18 minutes. Now, if we took the same lean rider now, that's obviously super fit now, 69 kilograms, 152 pounds, put them on the heavier bike, 8.4 kilograms, 18.5 pounds at 300 watts. How long would it take them to ascend to the top of Mont Ventoux? And it would take them 79 minutes or an hour and 19 minutes. So there's only a difference now of 1 minute. So from a super 12K bike to a 2K bike, you're looking at a difference of 1 minute, which basically means you would have to spend $10,000 to get an increase in performance of 1 minute. And just to reiterate, if you're 96 kilograms on a 6.8 kilogram bike that costs $12,000, your time would have been 101 minutes or an hour and 41 minutes. But if you were to get lean and fit, 69 kilograms on either bike, a 6.8 kilogram bike or an 8.4 kilogram bike, you're gonna be doing it in 78 to 79 minutes. So that's a difference of 22 minutes. And this is what I'm trying to highlight, how important fitness on the bike actually is, because I'll never debate. If you take the same rider, yes, you will, the more expensive bike will perform better. But the whole point is it's pretty much worthless because it's 2 to 3 minutes. Now, if you told me 30 minutes, an hour difference, yeah, that's pretty huge. If you tell me I can spend 10K and get an hour difference, then I can maybe understand that. But in this situation, the fact that at 69 kilograms, you can ride a lot faster and there's a time difference of 22 minutes, that's just insane. So let's say for simplicity, each minute costs $5,000. You would have to spend $110,000 to get those 22 minutes back from your equipment, which is just, that's insane. So if you're telling me just from eating right, training properly, and just putting the time on the bike, you can basically get $110,000 worth of an improvement for basically free, I think that's crazy. And I don't want to see people in the comment that say, well,
to train more takes time and time is money, yada yada.
I understand that, but then again, if you're cycling to begin with, you're obviously going to be putting time on the bike. So it really comes down to how you structure your training. There's people that only have 45 minutes a day and they can do what someone takes to do in 2 hours, do an endurance ride. They can do it in a sweet spot interval in 45 minutes to an hour. So it really depends how you use the time efficiently on the bike. But to pretend like you can't train smart and efficiently and get into a really good shape and good fitness is just, that's a lie. So, you will listen. The most people will be fooled by the cycling industry and think they need all this flash, all this bling. They need to have the lightest bike. But when it comes to me sharing that if you drop from 96 kilograms as an example to 69 kilograms, whether you're on a super bike for $12,000 or a budget bike for $2,000, you'd be saving over 22 minutes. I think that information is so important. And then when you put the number attached to it, you'd be getting a performance boost of $110,000. And I'm telling you guys, I wish when I was a younger cyclist, I had this information, and it wasn't only like, I kind of knew about it like most people.
You're telling me if I get fitter and stronger, then could actually be better on the bike?
Everyone has that thought, but then why is it when I worked in the cycling industry, every time people would come in and they would be wanting to buy $6,000 bikes, and to be honest, they would tell me, oh, I just got into cycling. Like, that is insane, and that is the norm. So I'm really trying to promote fitness and being, structured on the bike to yield the best, because if the engine doesn't support the bike, then the bike is pretty much useless at that point. The engine is the foundation. So I really want to drive that point home. And I'm going to keep exploring this topic and talk about different things in terms of the cycling industry and what they really push that is a scam. And I really want to continue making these videos because I know it helps a lot of people. It's really reassuring to know that, hey, you know what? I am the engine. I'm the most important thing. Like I said, a $12,000 bike to get 2 to 3 minutes, or $110,000 worth of fitness to get 22 minutes. I'm picking the fitness every time. And I'm getting so emotional and passionate because I want to see people just absolutely crush it. And I would have to say the absolute worst feeling on this topic would have to be when I would pull up the group rides, the first hill of the day is coming up, and you'll see people on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10K bikes getting popped out the back. They gone, right? And there's people on retro bikes but are really fit just passing them like they're standing still. And I could just imagine the thought process that you were basically encouraged at the bike shop to buy a super expensive bike that you really didn't need because your performance and level of fitness didn't match it, and you're getting passed by people on $300 bikes. I've seen it. I've seen people on fixies out climb people on 10K bikes. And at the beginning of the video, I said how you spend your money is totally up to you. And don't get triggered if this information is upsetting you. And that's where it struck a chord with me, where I used to think that, oh, if I have a $5,000 bike, like, I'm gonna race so efficiently, all that stuff. And then when you start to actually do the digging and, take the curtain back and really see what's going on, what should only be focused is the engine, which is you as the rider. How can you optimize that? And the last thing I'll mention is when I rode with professional cyclists, they actually didn't have a race bike that I could rent there. So I had to ride a crappy commuter bike, which was so bad. But the fact that I kept up with pro cyclists on $12,000 bikes yet again shows you that if I have the engine, if you can put the numbers out and you have that fitness to keep up, then the bike obviously plays a factor, but obviously not that big of a factor. Now, if it was a race situation, yeah, the bike would be terrible. But just for general riding, for the average cyclist, that's doing 200 watts, if that, on the group ride every weekend, spending anything more than $2,000 is just so not worth it. So I'm going to continue making videos like this. If you have any suggestions for other topics that you would like me to cover, then comment it down below. I'm not going to ever stop revisiting this topic because the more I can help people actually work on their fitness and not be so focused on what the cycling industry is pushing, all this bling bling. Like I said, people would come into the bike shop and they would want bikes that I'm like, do you ride? Like, do you ride? Like, how did you get into cycling? How long have you been cycling for? And they're like, this is my first bike. And I'm like, you don't even know if you like the sport. And they're like, nah, I don't care. All my friends have that. And that's one thing. I just remember, I can rant on about this all day, but people would always feel the need to buy more expensive stuff because they would have friends that got into cycling and have slowly upgraded as they got more involved. And then people, to feel accepted by their cycling buddies, would have to get a similar bike. And for the most part, those people never really get into cycling. So then they have a bike that's just collecting dust that they have to sell and take a big loss. So just very sad all around. I want every cyclist in 2021 to really work on their fitness, crush their PRs, just absolutely crush it this year, and not really fixate on the bike. So that about wraps it up. If you guys like the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not, and until the next one, keep on pedaling.